Sorry, we're closed.
Sean Light,
Hello.
welcome back. I should probably turn on my ring light. Welcome back.
They're going to see how ugly you really are.
Or see how well ring light works.
Oh, that is true.
It
really works.
That was a phenomenal TikTok. I guess a comedian. I didn't know.
I'm not surprised.
Yeah, like I saw like some of his. Like, he does like bits now on like you see like parts of his shows. But
Like
anyway.
stand up?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he's stand up guy. Is there other types of comedians? I guess Will Ferrell's a comedian that didn't do stand up.
I bet he did stand up. I'll almost guarantee you Will Ferrell did stand up.
You gotta imagine, right? Does every comedian start in stand up?
I'm gonna say traditionally yes, but now with the dawn of TikTok and stuff, I bet like people like Lil Huddy has a song. I bet somebody like that can move up.
So Jim Carrey, did he definitely do stand up?
I've seen him do stand up.
Okay,
so that's for sure.
For sure.
I think I've heard Will Ferrell tell stories about him doing stand up.
I feel like I heard that too.
Yeah, I think that I definitely heard that. I would say traditionally, like every comedian, I know Jimmy Fallon did it. So like probably like anybody who was in the movies pre-social media.
I know Robin Williams did it.
Didn't Justin Bieber get discovered on YouTube?
Yes, from Usher, I think.
I don't know who's discovered.
pretty sure it was
I think
Usher.
he was just like singing on the street with his mom.
Oh
when
yeah,
he
I
was a
don't know
kid.
what it was. Yeah, but he was definitely doing something.
So
like that.
I have no doubt. There's like this, you know, that guy Trey Kennedy on TikTok.
I think I do.
Super funny.
I think
He's
I do know
Super
what you're
funny. He
talking
does like bits about like girls versus boys.
Yes, I think so.
It's super funny. I would imagine that he could get a role in a movie.
Probably.
Be just without doing stand up. If you get enough followers, yeah, it'll happen.
Okay,
So that's my analysis.
that's your analysis. Well, here we are. The first thing I want to say, this is completely irrelevant. We're not going to talk long about this. This is why I have it first on the list.
Okay.
I saw a crab.
You saw a crab
Wait for it. I haven't finished my sentence. It's comma. It's not period.
coming out of the Hudson River?
No. It is on Twitter. Crab trapped in amber. In amber, which I'm not sure.
What is amber?
That's what it says. That's the headline. So amber is apparently a thing, not just a color. But trapped in amber for 100 million years. And we found it.
Is it alive?
No. Not to my knowledge. But trapped in amber for 100 million years. And apparently was around for the dinosaurs. And it looks like, I mean, it's definitely a little bit different. Apparently they think it's an ancestor to the traditional red crab.
The traditional. I don't think I've ever seen a red crab. I feel like they're all like dark colored.
Maybe. But maybe they're actually red if you wash them.
Okay. This is on Twitter right now.
It was on
Is
Twitter.
it like syrup? Like hardened syrup almost?
Possibly. It looks possible syrupy. It's possible for syrup. But yeah, you should see it. It's quite interesting.
I'm just going to type in crab.
I didn't.
Hardened crab.
I didn't.
Crab amber.
Did it bring up?
No.
Okay.
Crab. What is amber? That's what I want to know.
I don't know. You should Google that.
Nah, I really shouldn't. Nobody wants to know what amber actually is.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. Here it is. I actually saw this somewhere.
Okay.
I remember seeing the picture. Adorable crab encased in amber is among the oldest true crabs ever found.
Mm-hmm.
Looks very small. But this just could be the size. This may not be drawn to scale.
Probably not drawn to scale.
A tiny crab
It says
scuttled
tiny
around
crab.
a forest floor in the time of the dinosaurs, minding its own business, when a blob of tree goop oozed onto it. Despite its struggles, during which it may have amputated its own leg in futile attempt at escape, the sticky tree resin hardened around it, entombing it for almost 100 million years. So it is definitely a tree goop. Dominant performance. I just kept reading the paragraph while you were gone.
I just walked by Stephanie. If you're not watching on YouTube right now, if it's even on YouTube, I just left the podcast.
I was like, I saw you leave. I panicked, and I just kept reading the article. This is a 700-word article that I would have just kept rolling through.
I walked by Stephanie and go, he's definitely improvising right now.
It is
full panic mode.
It is tree goop, as I kind of expected.
Tree goop. Do you know
Tree
what
goop.
tree it comes from?
I don't. I don't.
It doesn't say in the article, I assume.
Not on a brief scan.
Yeah, I have it right here in front of me as well.
Interesting.
Yeah, it is interesting, isn't it?
That is interesting.
All right, moving on though. That's really I really want to talk about. I thought
an old crab.
The crab is interesting. It was interesting to me, so that's why I
100 million years. 100 million years encased in something. About 5 seconds worth on our podcast.
Yeah. That's very true. It's impressive. I don't even know how you find these things. People are just out there looking for them.
I mean, I guess there's like paleontologists like excavating the earth.
And how do they know it's 100 million years old? Is this that
carbon dating?
Carbon dating. That's the rings, right? Isn't that the rings?
That is the.
Or no, that's
the
tree.
tree.
That's a tree. That's a tree.
To be fair, I don't know that that's not carbon dating.
You never know.
But I remember we used to do that. They had the formulas and stuff in school.
Right now.
Nice.
Okay.
Ironically, oddly enough, when we first started the podcast, I looked at myself in my camera here, and my little collar here was like this, and I was like, "Oh, I got to fix that," and I changed that, as if somebody were watching this and going, "Is that Sean's undershirt? Is it red?" I'm freaking done with this guy. I've had it up to here with this guy in his undershirts.
I just spilled all over myself. Next topic.
Yeah.
Biggest, possibly, I'd say the next two topics are definitely the two biggest topics in the last couple weeks.
Okay.
No questions asked.
In all of the world.
All of the United States.
Okay. So
all of the United States.
We're not talking just sports and
no,
crafts
and
here.
I will preface this. I would say two of the top three topics.
Okay.
I
love it.
The third topic that I wasn't planning on talking about, but maybe we do. Who knows?
It's our world, man.
It's our world. Is the Brian Laundrie stuff that he just got found. Whatever. That was not planning on talking about that.
Okay.
But the next topic is Alec Baldwin's shooting.
Oh, dude, what the hell happened there? So did you read how it happened?
So I read a little bit about how it happened. Did you do a little bit more of a in-depth
probably,
research?
given the difference between you and I probably.
So why don't you take it away, Sean?
Take the lead here. So, okay, this is what I know. They're shooting a movie in New Mexico, and I guess they have prop guns, which I'm under the impression now are actually real guns.
Correct.
But they put phony like blanks in there.
Yeah.
There's different levels of blanks.
Didn't know that.
There's 3 different levels of blanks, and apparently even the blanks can kill somebody. And so there's a what they call an armorer on set who is supposed to be the person who checks it. There's a protocol of how they go through it and check they check it multiple times before it's handed to the actor, and then apparently they wheeled the gun up on a cart. The armorer declared it, yelled it to everyone, cold gun. He grabs the pistol, and because at this point, like when it first happened, I was like, how does this happen? Like, okay, like there was a blank, but is he just like? I almost thought like he was like one of those like weird celebrities who does, you've met these guys who like do like weird things. Most people wouldn't. You'll be a little bit more like I don't know, like do different stuff. I thought he'd just be like going around like playing with the like pointed it at people,
Okay.
right? And that wasn't the case, thankfully. But apparently he was practicing. Like apparently the scene called for him to point the gun at the camera. And this lady, the deceased, was, I guess, the person holding the camera. So he was practicing like pulling it out and holding it for the camera when I guess maybe it somehow fired and went through her and hit the guy in the back, the director. The camera woman obviously passed away. The gentleman is, I assume, going to make it. And that was the case on exactly how it all went down. Apparently there was already a walkout specifically about gun safety on the set.
Interesting. That seems fishy to me.
It seems very fishy to me.
I heard there's a possible walkout that day, but I didn't know about gun safety.
I saw 2 different things, that it was possible gun safety and also possible COVID walkout, COVID restriction or COVID regulations walkout, whatever. But so I can't confirm whether it was which one, but there was a walkout regarding safety for sure. And I think the one piece that I still don't know is, was it a blank or was it a real bullet? Now, all of the articles that I've read have said the phrase, it is still unclear how live ammunition ended up inside of the gun, which leads me to believe that they're saying that it is a real bullet.
So here's my thing. I can touch on that last part there.
Okay.
Okay. Supposedly, since they're all real guns,
Mm-hmm.
when you shoot a live ammunition,
Mm-hmm.
a live round, I should say, not live ammunition, a live round, sometimes fragments get left in the bullet, in the chamber.
Okay.
And when you shoot a blank, those fragments, if the gun isn't cleaned properly,
Okay.
those fragments can go out like a bullet.
Very interesting.
So I did read that it could have been an oversight on on cleaning the gun properly to make sure there was nothing left from possible other shootings where a gun was using live rounds. And then that's how a blank was put in. That's how the the fragment or whatever it was got in there. However, if you're hearing that it's a definite live round, I would think they would.
I'm not going to say definite live round, but that's what the articles have led me to believe that because they keep saying nobody's saying it was a bullet.
Yeah.
At least not up to the last article that I read.
Okay.
But they're all saying I don't know how live. It's unclear how live ammunition got in there. That's the furthest I've got.
Interesting. Now, haven't you heard a conspiracy theory here?
So I did see. I think on TikTok it was somebody. It was like a tweet quote from the lady who passed away, and the tweet was, "I have information that will lead to Hillary Clinton's arrest," or something like that. Don't know if it's true. It reminds me.
Of course you don't.
I don't. Well, I don't.
It'd be crazy if you did.
It would be
If you knew it was true.
I would be watching myself. But it reminds me a lot of that guy John McAfee. Do you remember this guy?
Yes, of course.
The guy who was just.
I told you to watch the documentary on him.
I did. Oh, that's right.
That was
Nuts.
the guy-
Lunatic guy.
Lunatic
Guy. I actually spent at least 1 hour scrolling through his Twitter and reading his tweets when he went to jail. Oh no, was he tweeting from jail? He might have been actually.
He might have been.
But
I think they get computer time.
He was tweeting.
They
from
get
jail.
computer time.
But and they were saying that he lived in that apartment complex, Surfside, down in Florida that collapsed, and there was something really fishy with the timing of it and the information that he had on, I think maybe Jeffrey Epstein or something like that, and who else was everybody else was involved. Ironically, people think Bill Clinton was involved in that.
Of course.
I think he's been to Jeffrey Epstein's island.
Yeah, the island.
So we could see some interesting turnover there. But I think it came to light that those tweets, I think the tweet from McAfee was I have 120 terabytes of information in a safe in the Surfside condominium corner of this and this. If I should die, go there and find it. Building comes down, he dies. But I think they found that the tweet didn't exist. So I don't know. I would imagine that that's the case as well.
Yeah, you never know. But the Clintons seem to be, at least people really enjoy using the Clintons in these things. If Bill Clinton, Hillary Clinton, let's say they're both involved, let's say for argument's sake.
Okay. Talking about it around the dinner table.
You're talking about Dr. Evil type stuff. You are an evil person.
Dr. Evil is probably not me.
Yeah, it was comedic relief here. But okay.
But yeah, you were
give me another
truly
villain.
Evil. The Joker.
That's good.
He's
good.
He's mean.
Yeah, that's good. Well done. All right, the Joker. So the Joker type stuff here, where you are just a really not a good human.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's for sure. Those people exist. I have no doubt those people exist.
We watched the Joker with what's his face.
I don't think the Joker is capable of that level.
Let me say we watched how the Joker got
Batman roaming the streets.
No, not with the Dark Knight.
But with, I think it was a higher level,
sophistication,
more sophisticated villain. Yes. Yes.
Yes. All right. So we don't have a villain.
Here's a question though regarding this case. Does somebody go to jail? First question: does Alec Baldwin end up in jail?
No.
Nothing.
No.
Completely free of wrongdoing.
Yes. Yeah, I don't believe that he in any way did this intentionally. I don't think they'll find him to be intentionally doing this.
Brutal for that guy, for Baldwin.
Brutal.
I mean,
yeah, that's terrible. That's terrible. I think someone does end up in jail. Probably that guy,
the armorer.
Yeah. Which is really.
I mean, look, if if it's an oversight, you definitely should pay the price. You because you can't do that. Like, imagine it comes out like he was like hungover or something like that.
I just hope it wasn't. I guess I don't know what I hope. I mean, part of me is like, okay, this guy's probably not a bad person. He probably screwed up. The thing is, but his screw up led to someone's death. So it's like one side of it's like, this guy might not be a bad human being. Like he shouldn't get like crazy punished. But on the other hand, it's like, well, your job was of the utmost importance and had people's lives in their hands. So you can't fuck around with that stuff.
Well, it's got to be very similar to when somebody you kill somebody in like unintentional vehicular manslaughter, right? Where you accidentally kill somebody on the highway. I think there's still a punishment for that. You may not end up in jail, but there's definitely still. They're going to take into consideration his previous history and stuff like that as well.
Yeah, it's just just a bad situation.
Yes,
just a terrible
worst
situation.
One of the worst.
All right. Well, moving on, Sean. That could be very abrupt because I just had to pause this thing because my iPhone storage and that I record on here got screwy. But if it's abrupt, it's abrupt. So here we're moving on.
When people listen to this, it's literally going to be like you talking. It's going to hear like a weird like glitch or maybe nothing at all, and then you're all of a sudden going to start talking about a huge issue. They're going to be like, "Whoa!"
I have no idea what I was saying there at the end there.
No. It's literally going to be like, well, yeah, it was crazy that this thing happened, and I'm sorry about this glitch that just happened. And we're like, what?
So true. That's actually funny. All right. Well, we're going to move on. So the last thing is, and I want to preface this, the next topic, Sean. Prefacing.
Love it. Preface it.
I'm going to preface it. When I was playing baseball, and when I was going through even high school. Well, high school I didn't have social media yet, so it was post college. Oh, I guess no, because Facebook was around at this point. So once social media came around, Facebook was the earliest one that I guess I was on MySpace very briefly, but I had my name on MySpace was like
What nationality is that?
I just hit a bunch of letters, and that was my account.
You're too cool for MySpace. We all were.
Yeah, I don't really remember.
It was weird. Back in that day, it was like weird to have an online profile.
Yes. You wanted to meet Tom. But then Facebook came around. Definitely too cool for Facebook originally, and then you realize that AIM was no longer a thing, and you were messaging girls on Facebook, poking them.
You wanted to get mad friends.
And then obviously the progression into everything else. But
now it consumes everything.
Consumes my entire world. But with that being said, because of baseball, you're always cautious about what you put on there because you always just didn't want to put something up there that would come back to bite you in the ass. Okay. Specifically when I got to pro ball, because the day I got drafted is the day I made, either the day or the day after I got drafted, I made a Twitter account. Mm-hmm. And so I've always stayed away from particular topics.
I understand.
Very obvious ones like political stuff, any religious stuff. That was always like when you played in pro. I won't say specific teams that do this, but when you played, they always highly suggested that you stay away from political, religious topics on social media. Yep. They always suggested that.
Until you reach LeBron James level, then go really in on it.
Yes. So anyway, I've avoided it.
Until now,
ladies and gentlemen.
So the moment you've all been waiting for.
That's actual beliefs on things. This particular topic, we're going to dive into a little bit here.
Okay.
And it's the Dave Chappelle stuff.
Got it.
Very, very, very tumultuous.
The T's aren't happy.
No.
Have you seen the bit? That's how he refers to them.
Okay, the T's. That's how he refers to the transgenders.
That's correct.
Transgenders. Okay. So the trans community is not happening. Now, I want to start this conversation off with a direct quotation from Dave himself. Okay. Not from the bit. Okay. But apparently the trans community has now tried to have a meeting with Dave. Not the community, not the whole community, probably some representatives.
All of them, they'll get together at the San Antonio Convention Center, where they've asked Dave to be part of this, be the keynote speaker.
Okay.
The keynote apologist.
Can you fit all of the trans people in San Antonio's convention center.
It's big.
I don't think there is a venue out there. You have to be an outdoor venue, and you have to be.
They actually have a rodeo, a huge rodeo venue there.
Yeah, but I
don't know if it fits all.
It does not. There's no way.
Okay, continue.
Technically speaking,
Before we get
I don't
canceled.
know.
Before
I
we
don't
get
know
canceled.
the number.
Before we're invited to this convention.
Not as speakers, though. Okay, it starts off with Chappelle's conditions for meeting with transgender community.
Okay.
And this is the quote. First of all, you cannot come if you have not watched my special from the beginning to end. You must come to a place of my choosing at a time of my choosing. And thirdly, you must admit that Hannah Gadsby is not funny. Now,
who is that?
Let's dive into that, because Hannah Gadsby on this it's like it's Hannah Gadsby, and then talks about Dave Chappelle. It's not Dave Chappelle trending.
Okay.
It's Hannah Gadsby trending.
Okay.
Now, according to Hannah Gadsby, obviously has a Twitter account. It would appear, I don't know much about this lady, but it would appear that her profile is I am a sleepy time T-bear. Hashtag actually autistic. Douglas now streaming on Netflix. Tour updates by AGC. Blah, 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 blah.
Okay. Okay, she's a comedian.
Yes. I am not going to speculate anymore about Hannah Gadsby.
We'll do it internally.
Yes. Let's see here. You know what? Let's just dive a little bit more into this actual thing, because I'm sure they'll tell me who Hannah Gadsby is. Over close. Praises Ted Sarandos, mocks Hannah. Okay, so he's mocking Hannah Gadsby. But anyway, regardless, this is an interesting thing, and I'm seeing politicians comment on this.
Yep.
I'm seeing a lot of people are talking. And
fellow pod god Joe Rogan weighed in on it.
Oh, what did he say? Because he's a comedian himself.
He is. He was in he's very pro Chappelle. He thinks Dave Chappelle's the greatest comedian that's ever lived.
Okay. Well, I think Dave Chappelle's
he is
brilliant.
awesome. He is awesome. I think that he's basically said that Dave is a really, really nice person. He doesn't have any enemies. He's not trying to hate anybody. I think he talks about like the challenge of being a comedian in today's world, where everybody wants to cancel you and like there's very sensitive things, and comedians are their job is to toe the line and talk about that.
Very much so.
I just went to a comedy show in New York City, and they were aggressively making fun of the audience, myself included, and I'm totally fine with it, because I know the guy doesn't have any idea who I am, and I don't care. And so, regardless, he's very pro Chappelle, and talks about how he's been talking to him throughout the thing, and he's just kind of waiting out the storm. So that's what Rogan said.
Okay,
fellow pod god.
I don't think that he probably should. I like Dave Chappelle.
Same.
I think he's hilarious. I think he does a really good job. Funny enough, coincidentally enough, as I've showed you before on the old Dave Chappelle show, they actually did a bit in the alley of one of my bars.
That's correct.
Yeah, so that was interesting. I didn't know that was well before I owned the place. I think it was actually when I was in high school, so I wouldn't own it for another 15 years or so. But still, funny enough. What are your thoughts?
Oh, really?
Oh, really? What are your thoughts on this whole thing? Now, I haven't seen the actual from beginning to end, as he's preconditioned to give an opinion. I haven't seen beginning to end. I have seen some of the spots where people are highlighting that this is bad.
Yep. I think there are multiple spots. I just watched one the other night.
Uh-huh. Have you watched beginning to end?
I have. I've watched multiple Dave Chappelle specials.
Of course, but this one in particular.
Yes.
Okay.
My thoughts are. My honest thoughts are, you just can't take yourself that seriously. You can't think that Dave Chappelle is really coming at you like this. The one caveat that I'll give that community is that they are fighting for acceptance and equality. There definitely is a challenge there for them to have that in this world, and I think them especially probably have it the hardest. But
very possible.
I think that you can't. I don't think you can. I don't think you the cancel culture, the demanding apologies. I think Dave's response to it. He talks about how he's not going to be summoned by this community. He's not going to apologize. He stands by what he says. I love that response. I think that there's just probably a better way to do it, as opposed to just like, trying to like put this guy up and publicly crucify him. I think that there's just a better way to handle it. I would never care if Dave Chappelle was making fun of me specifically, like if he had a bit about me, it might be. And one of the things Rogan talks about, he talks about like how like public roasts are a thing. Like you see him on like VH1 all the time. I don't know if it's VH1, but maybe E or something. Comedy Central, actually.
Fair enough. Caitlyn Jenner did.
Yeah, look,
a part of one of
you
those
just
roasts.
you just can't take yourself that seriously. You have to look at Chappelle as being a nice guy, or like whatever. Make your own opinion of him as a good person or a bad person. But I just don't think that's how you ultimately find yourself on top. The great example, not the great example, but one we just saw the other day was the restaurant near downstairs from where we live. Apparently had a unruly customer who was making fun of the bouncer and how much money he made, and bouncer's just a wonderful guy, super nice, and they blasted this guy's Instagram all over their social media platforms to show like how rude he was, and like they're like, everybody stand up for the bouncer. That's a nice thing to do, but I don't think you can't win by doing. It's like fighting fire with fire. Like I just don't think you win that way, and I think that's too short-sighted in like their approach to it. So I understand their fight at least as much as I can, but I think it's the wrong approach. And I don't think Dave Chappelle, I watched the special, I don't think that Dave Chappelle was, I mean, it was edgy, but it wasn't like, I didn't think it was bad.
All right. Fair. I think that's fair. Here's my thing with this whole thing. Obviously, if you want to be offended by anything, you're allowed to be. That's part of this. One thing I've learned, if for no other reason than just Red Sox Yankee Twitter, you can win nothing on social media.
You can't win anything anywhere.
Yeah.
Nobody's changing their mind. How
Zero.
many people are truly objective enough to be like, I was wrong?
I am.
My bad. I have never been more objective than in this moment.
I'm very objective. I usually do believe that I'm a fairly objective human being. But with that being said, I don't know if that makes me objective, that I feel I'm objective.
Now let me tell you why I'm definitely right.
And why you cannot take me off this opinion. If you want to be offended, be offended. Here's the thing. At what point you want to become equal? You're fighting to become equal.
Correct.
The whole bit. I
Correct.
get that. I'm posing this question to you, Sean. Is being a part of a comedian special, is being a part of his jokes a step closer to being, as if everyone, let's say for example, if everyone seems to be white males,
Yes.
are not very well liked.
That is fact.
It seems as though we are. People think that we've gotten a lot of head in life.
I understand it.
Oh, I totally get it. But we got head in life, blah, 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 blah. Regardless. If the goal is, and maybe it's not the goal to be a white male, to be like up at their level, maybe it's to bring the white males down into everyone's in the same
Correct.
stratosphere.
Correct.
No one's advantaged in such a way.
Yep.
If that's the goal, I mean, you can say whatever you want about a white guy right now. And
You could
whatever.
You could just absolutely blast.
Berate him.
Yeah. Yes. Tear me to shreds.
You can say whatever you
Yes.
want.
Yes. Correct.
There's nothing off the table.
That's correct.
Nothing.
That's correct.
Is this not a step closer?
Well, it's interesting because they want equality through inequality.
So yes, they want privilege, essentially.
Yes.
They want to be you're off limits. Whatever they say is, if my feelings are hurt,
That's
you're
correct.
wrong.
That's correct.
Which I'm very
You can't make fun of me,
Yes,
but you make fun of everybody else.
To be clear, and because I'm getting a little edgier in my life here.
That's fine.
To be clear, I'm vehemently against. You can't hurt my feelings.
That's a joke.
Unbelievably
That's a
against.
joke.
And when you're kids, and you're talking about bullying kids, that's different. Kids are not, I don't think, developed enough to be able to handle this type of stuff.
Yeah, every kid gets a trophy stuff.
Yeah.
You are
absolutely not.
My kid will be incessantly made fun of the second
if he
is
brings
born.
home a last place trophy, I'm punting it.
I'm punting him potentially.
Sean, now child abuse. No, but in order, like, you have to.
It's not.
It's part of life.
The thing is like, okay, look, I understand. Like nobody wants to. Actually, ironically, there was a gentleman right before we got on this podcast who basically told me that my business structure is a joke and he wants no part of it. Right. And
That's nice.
It is, but I mean, he said it in slightly nicer terms, right? And it sucked. Like I was like, damn, like dude, like I work hard. I work hard at this. It doesn't feel good, but like those are the things that make you better in life, and those are the things that allow you to navigate this world and eventually like get to the place you want to be. If it always is positive, it never works. I always think about
Here's
this.
a question. Let me take a
Ask
step
away.
back.
Ask away.
If you were part of the trans community,
Yeah.
is that guy fucked?
I mean, depending on which member, he might be.
If he came, is he anti-trans by coming after your business model?
I think that. I mean, I'm not going to say that this is specific to their community, but I think that of course there are people.
Yeah, let's
within
say the
community.
LGBTQ or any community that it seems to be
I think
very
any
cancelable
I think there's
on Twitter right now.
I think of course, but I don't think that is. I don't think that's a representation of like the community as a whole.
Not the trans community.
I know.
I'm
but
saying if you did the same thing they just did to you, but you were part of a trans community instead of just being a white guy, is this guy screwed?
Nah, it depends on who you talk to.
Depends how it all depends.
It depends on the reason he gave me. Listen,
actually,
it's a great business plan, but
to be fair,
no.
it probably the only thing it probably matters on is how far it gets on Twitter. If you announce
that's
on
true.
Twitter,
That's true.
That's probably all.
That's
that matters.
true.
But I don't know. I'm very against. Like, I don't think again you're getting to that part where you want equality through inequality. You're not immune to these things. You don't get to not have to, like, especially in the comedic world, like comedians.
Who cares?
You're like that's a part of it. Like
Right.
this is people are making fun of people. This is what happens.
Yeah.
Like you can't not. Actually saw something that was really funny on TikTok. It was so there's a kid on TikTok, white kid, blonde hair. He says he cuts himself off.
Devin.
So if you haven't seen it,
I
think
aggressive.
he's hilarious. You know his actual TikTok name?
No,
Can you
because
look it
it
up?
keeps getting
You have your
banned.
phone.
It keeps getting banned.
Oh, he keeps redoing. Yes.
Yeah.
So he does these things. Now I want to make clear what he does here because if you haven't seen him, I think he is comedic brilliance.
Yeah.
Where he says, let's say, I can't. I don't know. I really like girls unless they're, and then starts the N bomb.
Yeah.
But then cuts himself and then says, sorry, I don't know why that cut off, and says, like, it wasn't that. He was saying something
like
else.
I can't do it if they're nice people or
Yes.
something like that. Yeah.
Really, because everyone's sitting there watching, you're like, oh my God, this guy's about to say that.
Yeah.
And then he doesn't.
Yeah.
So I think it's really smart. There was a woman who stitched this. You saw this thing where she stitched this and goes, you were about to say blah, 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 blah. And goes off on this rant of
That guy doesn't care at all.
zero. But then what I thought was so amazing is that all these black guys start stitching her.
Yeah.
Like watching the video, and then she cuts in, and you see them all like jump into the screen, rolling their eyes, like, "Here we are. You okay? You can't do this."
Yeah.
And they did it. I saw one that was up to like 15 different guys jumping in the thing, which I thought was fantastic.
Yeah.
Everything can't be. Everything can't be this way.
Well,
where you just like if 9/11 jokes are on the table, which apparently they are now.
Oh, they are.
I've reported one video on TikTok in my life. And it was a 9/11 joke, very close to 9/11, and it was people are doing like simulations of flying planes into
I saw it.
into buildings.
Yep.
And I mean, I was young at the time, but it was a unbelievable thing. But now I stopped reporting them because
it's everywhere.
This is I guess we're past that now.
Well, I want to know what people are like. I want to know what they're doing with their life. Like, what are you doing all day? Like, people digging up tweets. Somebody gets drafted for the Bengals, and then they're pulling up tweets from 2006. Like, who's going? Like, what are you doing all day? Where you're just like, okay, you guys get the NFC East, you guys get the AFC North. We're gonna go through everybody's tweets who gets drafted today, make sure there's no racists who are getting drafted.
It's obviously, I mean, at least in my opinion, it's obviously too much. I just can't get on board unless he. And the other thing I saw which was great. I would love to cite the person. I can't remember who it was. It wasn't like a super. There's one guy that does a talk show that I absolutely love. I can't think of his name. I picture him, but I can't think of his name.
Okay.
He seems to be right in the middle, and whoever's actually wrong, he says.
Okay.
And he is not. He's with Dave Chappelle in this, but they talk about how words no longer have meanings, and they're called because they said very, very obviously. He said phobia is the fear of something, and now you're just saying Dave Chappelle is not afraid of you guys. Like he doesn't want death upon you guys.
Right.
He's making jokes in a comedy special on which probably is a fairly liberal network in Netflix. I would imagine all the big tech companies seem to be fairly liberal, and they're not going to let anything get out that they think maybe might be bad.
Yep.
Which you have to mention also now that everyone up top probably at Netflix said this was probably okay, which shows that you again took it one step further.
Yep.
But just because you make a joke about a particular group of people does not make you afraid or want to kill them or anything like that. It just means you made a joke. You made fun of someone.
Yep.
Like, and are you so? And again, I understand the point of they're fighting for certain liberties and freedoms, which I haven't done a deep dive on these types of things, but I'm sure they deserve freedom. That's a free country. But I just think that it's you don't get to do this. You don't get to decide what these if it's real hate speech.
Fine.
God bless you.
Fine.
But you don't get to decide that people can't make jokes about you. You just don't get to do
that.
I'd
agree. I totally agree.
It's not. This is not the world we live in. And as we talk about all the time in the privacy of our own home, which is really, really, you shouldn't be talking about what we say in the privacy of our own home. But like when you talk about becoming successful and moving on in life and all these things, when you get worried about a lot of these smaller stuff, you don't get to. I always give the example of baseball. They always said, one pitch at a time, all that stuff. I always hated that in baseball because I always thought that you were so hypersensitive to every pitch now that when you met, and this is what ended my career, when you messed up on a pitch, when I was 2 inches off the outside corner, and if I was hypersensitive on that, I'm really trying to correct that for the next pitch and make sure that I'm 2 inches further over to the right or to the left, wherever it was. And now I turn that 2 inches to 7 inches because I'm thinking I need a release here. I was really here. When you're hypersensitive to all these small stuff, you lose focus of what the big picture is, and it's trying to go 7 innings, with 1 run, 2 runs, and give your team a chance to win, instead of being like, I need to make this pitch the best fucking pitch I can make it.
Yep.
It's very small picture stuff, and I'm the biggest picture guy in the world. If you talk to anyone that works with me at a higher level, not like you really can't really talk to my staff members and stuff like that. I don't talk to them about this stuff. But like if you talk to my business partners and like a guy like Brandon and stuff like that, who you guys don't know, but if you talk to those guys, they know that like I am not focused at all on one day of sales or one day of this. I'm focused on the whole picture of what we're doing at these bars and these restaurants to make these places successful. And I think that's a big reason of why I am successful in this world, because you can't focus on just one fucking thing. The smallest things doesn't make any difference.
Right.
I've gotten death threats. I've made fun of my entire life. I don't care. Like some of the stuff gets me, but so you just can't worry about this stuff. Otherwise, you just live in a miserable existence.
Well, I personally think that this is just going to be the way it is. I would agree with you, but I don't think it changes. I don't think it's going to change. Oh, interesting side note on this. I heard actually Tony Robbins say over the weekend that he studied like centuries of like civilizations and social dynamics, and he says that like 30 years go by and it's all really good, and then then there's like a 10-year period or so where everybody lives by fear and on edge and stuff like that, and he's like, that's where we are right now, which means and he's like, historically speaking, we're really just getting started. He's like, you can expect, based on trends, 7 or 8 more years of this kind of thought process. And if you're out there, somebody who's trying to like work it and become successful, like the classic Warren Buffett, like what is it? Be be aggressive or when people are fearful or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah. It's what is that?
Be
phrase?
fearful when everyone is confident, and confident when everybody's
Yeah.
go invest when people, I don't know, something like that. But you're supposed to be aggressive about like building and growing when people are fearful. And I was like, wow, that's very encouraging. 7-8 years, that's a really nice cushion here to build whatever monster you're building.
No, you're right. It is. It's a greedy. That's
Be
the
greedy.
phrase.
Be
Be
greedy.
greedy
That's
when
right.
everyone's fearful, and fearful when everyone's greedy.
Yes,
And we're certainly in the greedy mentality right now.
I love it.
But yeah, it's just you can't. I understand what you're fighting for. I get those things, but this is, in my opinion. Again, I guess I could be wrong. It's very rare that I'm wrong, but it just is not the way to get it. In my opinion, this is not. You are creating more people that are going to be frustrated with you, and
It's just polarizing. Very polarizing.
Very
they need
a
leader. They need a leader. They need somebody who can actually lead them. And they, like, I'm sorry, Caitlyn Jenner's not going to do it.
I don't know enough about Caitlyn Jenner, and
She's not a leader.
I don't know. I really just don't know. I watched the show a couple times.
She's just famous.
Okay, yeah, I don't know. She was one hell of an Olympian.
Yes.
So I don't know, but it's very difficult for me to get on board with this type of stuff because it just being hypersensitive to everything is a really wrong way to go about this.
Totally agree.
It just flat out won't work.
Yes.
The people that are on the middle right now that don't know which way to lean. There's people that vehemently disagree with you, and there's people that agree with you.
Yes.
Then there's people in the middle. You want the people in the middle. Talk about politicians all the time. When you're running for president, it's not about the diehard Republican. If you're a Republican, it's not about the diehard Republicans voting for you. They're voting for you no matter what.
Yep.
We know several diehard Republicans in our lives, and we know several diehard Democrats in our lives. It does not matter who you put up there.
That's correct.
They're voting Democrat or Republican.
Correct.
Whatever they are. Does not matter.
Which is brutal.
It's not. Yeah, I don't think it's solid at all. I think it's stupid. But then you have the middle people. You need to win the middle people
Correct.
in order to win the election.
Correct.
And it's the same thing in this world. You have a bunch of middle people here that want you to have freedoms, want you all that stuff, but then hate this type of stuff or whatever they might believe. You need to win those people, and I think eventually that's how you get to a more level of an acceptance of whatever you're looking for, which I think they probably already have a level of acceptance. They probably just have some radical people that hate you. That's not going away anytime soon, guys. I mean, look at racism. Racism, for the most part, seemingly is not really a thing anymore, but there's definitely some people out there that hate certain colored people.
That's correct.
It's just the way it is. I don't think it's going away.
I would agree.
It's not to say that you shouldn't, I guess, try to keep fighting to those people do.
You gotta, yeah, I would.
But it's not a fight that I'm willing to have. But I'm a white male, so what do I know? And 6'5", super handsome, really charismatic and good looking. But it's just not the way to do it. That's my thing. I don't think it's the way to do it.
I agree. And here's a little bit of an interesting side piece, kind of taking us off this topic, which is probably for the best.
Okay.
I actually saw a special on 60 Minutes, and they said that they were talking about this Facebook whistleblower, and they were saying that they were talking about the algorithm on Facebook and how, like, they were upset that Facebook was not doing more to protect against, like, anti-bullying and negativity on the platform.
Yeah.
Now, Facebook's algorithm is geared towards engagement, right? You get 100 comments, people, they're going to show that to a lot of people because they assume that that's something that people want to see.
Yes.
People are more likely to, it's more likely that somebody will draw a reaction from their audience if they are negative and divisive than, like, if I post about, empowering men to, take their women out on dates, that's going to get like one guy and probably not even that, right? But if I post something about Trump and how much I love him, I'll get a zillion comments, right?
Yes.
A zillion comments. Now, that is so what they were saying is that, like, there was actually some feedback from politicians overseas that said that the algorithm, because of its power and reach and influence, it has forced them to take more polarizing, divisive, and negative political stances and policies, because it's the only way you can win the election if you're getting seen on Facebook and that people are engaging with that and posting it out there. So it's forced policy changes, which is interesting because people are choosing policy. Not that we didn't know this, but they're choosing policies based on what gets them elected and what gets them, So who do you really believe? But they're choosing these policies. Like, wow, that's actually really interesting because, like, you look at our recent elections. I mean, not to my knowledge, there was no more polarizing and divisive political stance, but and policies that were being presented than what was presented in our last election. And I was like, well, I'm sure Facebook's algorithm played a really I see these commercials on television. I got the guy who's running for Jersey governor right now talking about Phil Murphy and whatever. And I'm like, literally, this is white noise to me. I don't even notice it. But the stuff on Facebook when people are chiming in about it and there's organic content, that's the stuff that I would consume much more likely than this guy telling me about taxes. Okay, you're gonna lower my taxes. Save it, buddy.
I know the thing now with Phil Murphy is they just leaked. I guess he had hidden camera video footage about he's going to do vax mandates once the election's over. And honestly, I am 0% surprised. Of course, he's not going to do anything that's going to possibly ruin his election.
Yeah, of course.
And he's going to do it after.
Yeah,
duh. That's not surprising. But I mean, probably hurt his campaign a little bit now that that's out there. Probably a little bit.
I'm sure they'll find something else on the other guy.
The far left's going to root for him no matter what.
The
far right's going to root for the other guy no matter what. And now it depends on what the middle believes on this vax mandate.
Yeah.
That's what it's going to depend on. That's what everything is. But it is. You got to be polarizing, which I think is very hurtful to our. I think there's a. I'm not going to throw a number on it, but I think there's a very good chance that the best presidential candidate didn't even run last time.
Oh my God, no question.
But was a part of the discussion. Yeah, of course, there's probably some brilliant guy out there that probably could be our president, do a great job that we no one even knows about.
Why would any leader want to be a president? You have to choose. You don't get to choose.
Howard Schultz,
Mark
ex-CEO of Starbucks.
Cuban was one of them.
Yeah, Mark Cuban I think might be good. But Howard Schultz, ex-CEO of Starbucks, came out publicly and said that he wanted to run independent because if he ran as a Democrat, he had to say things he didn't believe.
Yeah.
And I think that is fantastic. And people were saying how all these Democrats were screaming from the top of their houses that please don't do this. You're going to split the Democratic vote, blah, 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 blah. Yet, I think if the independent came out and literally got the entire middle, they probably win. Which would probably never happen.
Yeah,
but if they got the middle, I think they would.
There's too much power elsewhere. I don't think an independent can win it, but I mean that would be awesome. I would love to see. I'd love somebody to stand up and say what they believe and
actually
speak
get
the
what
truth.
the other thing on the other side is though. Even though if the independent gets in. I mean, we talk about this all the time. How much power does the president really have? He definitely has. I mean, as Dad once said, I used to think they didn't have that much power until Trump came along and just did 1,000 executive orders, which I think is hilarious. But I with how split the House is and all these things, I think it's
whatever.
I will, but if it avoids a dictator,
fine.
Love
keep
it.
democracy.
Love it. Let's keep yelling at each other through the tables.
Totally
Let's
agree.
keep getting nothing done.
Totally agree.
Totally
agree. It's going to be the same. It is going to be this from now until the day we die. It is going to be the same topic. Who's got the most seats in the House? Who's he's trying to do this, but they don't want to do that. The liberals, the Democrats, the Republicans,
everything.
the rights. Shut the hell up. I don't care.
Yeah. And you don't really.
And my day-to-day life has changed to zero, no matter who's in office.
That's because you're white male.
There are okay.
Some things.
There are some things.
No, but yes, there are definitely. Moving on. I actually don't have a third subject there, or a fourth.
Well, let's kick it over to Sean in sports.
Wow, let's really change pace. I think we skirted that very well.
That was really good. I don't know how long. What are we at? I know we're at 32 here.
I think the other one was like 10 or so. So we're at 42. So we should move along.
Moving on to picks. So let's just do quick hitters then.
Quick hitters,
and then we'll move into picks.
Yep.
Okay. Quick hitters. Starting with Tom Brady. Tom Brady throws his 600th career touchdown. The only person ever to be above the 600 mark in touchdowns in the NFL. Throws it to Vincent Jackson. Maybe. I'm not sure.
I believe so.
Vincent Jackson. I feel like that's just an old name.
Yeah, I feel like that is an old name.
That's not. He throws it to a receiver.
I'm going to look it up.
Okay. He throws it to a receiver. Vincent Jackson is an old receiver. It's definitely not him. Okay. Did you see who it is?
New York Post pulled it up.
Okay.
I'm reading. Continue.
Okay. So Vincent Jackson or an other alternatively named Tampa Bay wide receiver catches the ball and goes and gives it to a fan, right? Then the Tampa Bay. Then he didn't realize it was his 600th career touchdown. He goes and
Mike Evans.
That's Vincent Jackson felt wrong. Mike Evans hands it to a fan. Then Tampa Bay realizes the grave mistake. They go negotiate with the fan. The fan gives him the ball back willingly. They reward him. This is what they gave him: a couple signed jerseys by Tom Brady, a helmet, signed jersey and cleats from not Vincent Jackson but Mike Evans. They give him season tickets to the rest of this year, all of next year, and a $1,000 team store credit. Good deal?
I think so. Yeah, of course this ball is gonna be worth who knows how much.
Right.
I mean, I saw an early estimate at $500,000.
You're an absolute jerk face if you don't give him the ball.
Yeah, honestly.
Can you imagine seeing that negotiating? The guy's like, no.
The I could care less about anything in pro sports. Okay. So honestly, I'm probably saying, hey, listen, just let me hand it to him. I'm good.
He said he wanted to play golf with him. Wanted to play a round of golf with Tom.
Did he agree?
No.
Okay.
That's 4 hours. That's a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot.
It's a lot of Tom Brady time.
There is a I would say an above 50% chance that I just say, yeah, here you go, man. I don't care. I mean,
I would take the gifts.
I never ask for these things.
Correct. Same.
A signed jersey from Tom Brady means zero to me.
Same.
So maybe if I had kids, maybe I get some. If I have kids, that might change the game.
If I'm a big Bucks fan, I would enjoy the tickets.
Yeah, I don't particularly like going to.
If you're a Bucks, if you're a fan,
okay,
like if it was West Virginia,
if I'm this guy, yes, I do all these things. Yeah. But we're asking.
If I'm a loser like this idiot,
if I'm asking me. I don't care about any of this stuff. I'd probably just give it away.
Same.
So, with respect to what I would do, yeah, he got a great deal.
Yeah,
he got a bunch of stuff, and the other thing on top of that is, and I saw this, which is a very, very interesting piece of information. The moment he walks out of the stadium, the ball's devalued because you never know if it's the same ball anymore.
Very interesting. They could have it numbered or something like that.
Maybe, but I know, and I can tell you what happens.
I can't say for sure.
I can tell you what happens in professional sports, in baseball. Nothing like when I threw my first pitch.
Yeah.
On the off chance I become one of the greatest pitchers of all time, the first pitch or the first out, I forget which one it was. The first pitch I believe is thrown out and immediately given to an MLB official who
holds it.
Who holds it and puts it in, and marks it and does something with the baseball.
Where do you think your ball is right now?
First strikeout?
No, your first pitch.
Strikeout. First pitch.
I know that.
First pitch is here.
Oh, the first pitch.
Yeah. First pitch is here.
Oh, and then the other ball.
The ball is first strikeout.
Okay.
It's immediately labeled. It's got an MLB branded logo onto it, and immediately signifying that this was the first ball. So the fact that Mike Evans caught this and immediately gave it to a fan and not an NFL official, there's a chance that if he walks out of that NFL stadium, that they never know if it's the right ball again.
That's true. That's a good point.
So with that being said, there's only so much you're going to get.
It's a good deal.
The Tampa Bay Buccaneers aren't giving you $500,000.
Good deal.
I think he got, if this is what he wanted, it's whatever you want. Maybe he didn't get the golf out.
Right.
But I think it's
good deal.
I think it's a phenomenal deal.
Okay.
Next, quick hitters.
We're doing medium hitters here. Next, Ole Miss retires Eli Manning's jersey in celebration of his historic career at down in Oxford.
Yeah.
They write Manning across both end zones.
Yeah.
Ironically, uncoincidentally, Arch Manning, number one recruit in the country, was on his recruiting visit. What do you got on that strange coincidence?
I don't think it was that big of a coincidence.
0% coincidence.
Yeah.
And I think they would have done it anyway. Like, oh, my uncle's getting his
I think
his
they were
jersey
doing
retired.
it. I think they were doing it regardless for Eli.
Yeah.
And I think that they chose this weekend for Arch Manning's recruiting visit because his dad was probably going to go to this regardless.
I'm sure Arch Manning wanted to do it on that weekend as well.
Probably. So no, I don't think it's coincidence at all. I think this is what the Manning
was
asked.
he shown on the jumbotron in the middle of the game?
100%.
And they all stand. The game is standing ovation.
Yeah.
Lane Kiffin is all in. If you are a new quarterback in the Ole Miss system, how are you feeling right now?
You're not getting any playing time next year.
Well, not if he shows up.
Even if he doesn't show up, they're probably in mourning. They don't play next year.
The Kansas City Chiefs suck. They got smoked by the Titans. I mean, they are bad right now. What's going on? What do you got?
I don't really know what's going on. Patrick Mahomes is still there, so that's that. Jackson Mahomes is still there, which is that. But
it's a whole other community.
There's probably holes they didn't fill that we don't know about.
That's what Andy Reid said. We're seeing stuff that we've never seen before, and we just got to fix it.
Yep, I think that's exactly what's happening.
Standard
Continue.
procedure. Penn State loses second straight game in 9 overtimes. 9 overtimes. Now, this is something you probably didn't know. After either the second or the third overtime, the overtime only consists of one play. It is just back and forth 2-point conversions.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. So it is. It was literally. I remember I was watching the game. I got up to get a glass of water, and it was going for 2. I was like, oh my god, right? And it's just back and forth 2-point conversion.
Interesting.
And they probably 4 of the overtimes, 4 or 5 in a row. They didn't get it. They finally started getting it.
They didn't run mesh.
What they were running all sorts of stuff. What do you got on a 9 overtime game? The 2-point conversion format. You like that?
I like it. I think if it's. I think I always preferred college football overtime over anything else in sports. Over anything else in sports, I saw someone tweet about me. I think it was Eric Klubs tweeting about meaningful games. Really, really, even though this was meaningful for Penn State, a meaningful game like a playoff being decided on 2-point conversions. I think maybe they extended a little bit longer in college football play in a playoff world. But listen. These are the rules. These are the rules.
Yeah,
I'm in. I think it's exciting.
It's fair, but I like them. I like it just going from the 25 every time. I like that. I think that's good enough.
They have time constraints.
Yeah, I get that. Okay, college football playoff as it stands right now: University of Georgia, Cincinnati, Alabama, Oklahoma. What do you got on that top 4? And could Ohio State, and Michigan are 5 and 6. Obviously, they're going to play each other. Potentially twice. I don't know how the Big Ten is set up. I don't think they can play each other twice. But they'll obviously one of those teams is going to win their game. Michigan's undefeated right now. Ohio State has 1 loss. Could a 1-loss Big Ten team unseat Cincinnati, who only has 1 ranked team left on the schedule, which is SMU, likely to go undefeated for the rest of the season? Could a 1-loss Big Ten team take out number 2 Cincinnati?
No. A 1-loss Cincinnati?
A 1-loss? No. One loss Cincinnati, they're gone.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Undefeated Cincinnati State is if they win out, they win. I think a 1-loss Big Ten team could possibly unseat Oklahoma.
Oklahoma's still undefeated. I would agree with that. I don't think
the moment they lose,
if they go,
no one thinks Oklahoma's very good.
If Oklahoma loses, they're definitely out.
Yeah,
but if
they win out, if they win the Big 12, they probably
win out. I think that they're in.
No, I think.
Speaking of Oklahoma, we got Caleb Williams. I don't know if you saw this, but his game-winning play against Kansas, which is never a phrase you want to say at Oklahoma.
Nope.
But his game-winning, they were going. It was 4th and 2 at the 50-yard line. They're going for it. They're winning by 7. They're about to give the ball back. Obviously, they don't get it. The running back gets stuffed behind the line. Caleb Williams, new freshman quarterback, runs over, just straight up takes the ball out of the running back's hands and runs it for a first down. It was unbelievable. They reviewed the play. They deemed it was behind the line of scrimmage, so it was a legal handoff. They wasted the clock, won the game. What do you got on that? And can Caleb Williams win the Heisman after having not started the first 3 games of the season?
I did not see this play. That's really cool though. That's pretty.
True freshman.
Yeah, true freshman. Got a big set on him. Love that. No, he can't win the Heisman with. No, he cannot win the Heisman without the first 3 games of the year.
Totally agree. Texas Tech, sticking in the Big 12, fires Matt Wells, in his third year at Texas Tech. These are his records: 4-8, 4-6, 5-3 this year. Beat West Virginia. 2-7 in conference year 1, 3-6 the next year. 2-3 as it stands right here. I mean, that's pretty quick. That's a Texas Tech. I feel like that's kind of unrealistic expectations. I mean, they haven't performed well in the first 2 years, but 5-3 this year. I feel like they're moving in the right direction. A Texas Tech, not Alabama. What do you think?
Love it.
I know that's your stance.
I love it. If you're trying to be Alabama, you got to do what Alabama does. And you were too quick. I think Texas Tech, just like a West Virginia, maybe even a little more.
Texas Tech hasn't been good since Mike Leach.
Yes. But you were good with Mike Leach. And West Virginia arguably hasn't been – well, that's not true. West Virginia has been good since Rich Rod. They have had several good teams. But I love it. If you want to move in the right direction,
just mediocrity. The setting the tone.
These things are not acceptable. These things are not acceptable. And when you're going to go do those things, if you're going to spend a ton of money, which I'm sure Texas Tech does,
yep,
Not acceptable. If you're that's worse than West Virginia.
enough.
Cannot be acceptable.
Fair enough. Sports Illustrated came out today, I think, with the bottom 7 Power 5 college football jobs. Can you name them?
No, I can't name them.
Can you guess? Guess 3. Make 3 guesses. See if they're on the list.
Kansas.
You got one.
Who's in the ACC? That's really bad. Kansas. I don't know who else. This is quick hitters. Go.
Worst 7 Power 5 jobs in America: Texas Tech, Arizona, Syracuse, Oregon State, Vanderbilt, Kansas, and a hometown team, Rutgers. Rutgers, they said in the article, Rutgers has not won their first Big 12 title in anything since they became a member in 2014, women's soccer.
Oh, women's soccer, they're pretty good at that, from my understanding.
Yeah, but not since 2014. All right, you ready for some picks, Patrick?
Picks,
All right,
picks.
rocking into the picks. Number 6, Michigan, 4.5-point favorite on the road at number 8, Michigan State. That's a great game. I'm assuming that's where College Game Day is. I haven't looked, but I got to imagine that's where they are.
Wait, was Michigan State first who?
Michigan, number 6 versus number 8. I think they must both be undefeated.
Okay.
4.5-point favorite for Michigan.
I pick Michigan. I say Michigan wins, and they cover. I like this Michigan team.
This is their first real test.
Yeah, but they're finding ways to win football games. I think they win this game. I think they win by a touchdown.
I think that this is the biggest test that they've had in Michigan so far. I think Michigan State, I think that's a new coach there, at least relatively new for sure. I'm leaning on Michigan here, although this feels like a classic Michigan loss. I think this is the best team that Harbaugh's had there, best performance at least.
Yeah.
I feel Michigan, and I feel Michigan covering, but Michigan State, I want to pick that, but I'm picking Michigan.
Okay.
Michigan and covers. Not ranked, Texas, 2.5-point favorite at number 16 Baylor.
Who's the favorite?
Texas, 2.5 on the road.
At Baylor.
Yes.
I say Baylor. Baylor wins outright.
Texas outright. Texas, I think it's good. I don't know. They
Texas
must have been
doesn't
up
cover?
and down. Well,
You said outright.
Texas wins, they cover.
Okay.
Texas wins, they cover.
They win by 1?
Yeah. Number 1, Georgia on the road in Gainesville to play the Gators. 14-point favorite for Georgia.
Georgia wins and covers.
Really interesting game here.
Florida's been weird this year.
Florida has been weird. I'm going to say Georgia wins, doesn't cover.
Okay.
Great, Sean. Number 20, Penn State got a real doozy here up in Columbus against the Buckeyes, who's an 18.5-point favorite.
Okay.
Penn State on the verge of losing 3 in a row if they can't pull one out of the hat here in Columbus. What do you got?
I don't know. Who you picking?
I'm going to go Ohio State doesn't cover,
But you have them
but
winning.
they win.
I think I have the same.
Okay. North Carolina, unranked, top 10 preseason, going to play on the road in South Bend against Notre Dame. Notre Dame's a 3.5-point favorite. I think it's an interesting game.
Who's Notre Dame playing? Was that
North Carolina.
North Carolina.
Glad you're paying no attention to
No, I had Notre Dame. I just didn't catch North Carolina. I have my picks up in front of me, so that's what I keep looking at. But I think I don't think I know UNC's never good. I mean, they were technically supposed to be good, very good this year. Except for they first lost to Virginia Tech.
Briggs Edwards is going to do a dance at halftime.
That guy, you don't know who that is. That's TikTok again. But yeah, I got Notre Dame winning, and they're covering.
North Carolina, they got him.
Wow,
North Carolina with the upset.
not so fast.
Not so fast, my friend. Lastly, number 22, Cyclones of Iowa State travel the country roads down to Morgantown to take on the Mountaineers.
Like, who are we picking?
Take on the Mountaineers. Iowa State is a 7-point favorite. I'm really thinking over who I'm going to pick here, Patrick. Before I give my secret selection, who do you think?
Who knows what you're going to pick? You're so 50-50 in these picks here. Iowa State is a 7-point favorite. You said
7-point favorite. Number 22 in the countch.
Iowa State's going to win. And although Day had a good week last week, I didn't watch the game.
Phenomenal.
I didn't watch the game. Maybe he's definitely not figuring it out.
Not even close.
I have Iowa State, and I have Iowa State covering.
Okay. Iowa State, phenomenal team, preseason top 10. They were the darlings coming into the year in the Big 12. Not so much that anymore, but they have been picking it up as of late. Traveling into Morgantown, who got a win off of TCU last week. Probably not going to be a great crowd in Morgantown. They're probably over the team this year, unfortunately. Lining up for a absolute definite Mountaineer W. They're going to cover. I see no other option here. West Virginia wins. West Virginia covers. West Virginia outrights. Put it all on a T-shirt.
Put it all on a T-shirt. So many different phrases when you put on a T-shirt for you. I have only the NFL games this week are not super exciting.
Okay.
So I'm only going to touch on two of them, and I want to touch. I don't want to do it at length, but I do want to touch on two of them.
A quick hitter.
Two quick hitters. One game is very interesting. One game, the spread is very interesting to me. So that's why I want to pick those. So the first game we're going to start with. This is the spread that's very interesting to me. 5-2 Bengals traveled to MetLife here in New Jersey to play the 1-5 Jets. Now the Jets had a big win against the Titans. Actually, not a few people in my survivor pool.
Okay.
The Bengals are seemingly very good. The Bengals are fighting for a number 1 seed in the playoffs for the AFC because they beat the Ravens. But the spread, Bengals are only favored by 3.5 against a 1-5 Jets team.
Joe Flacco, new quarterback.
Joe Flacco's still playing?
Zach Wilson got hurt, sprained knee out 2 to 4 weeks.
Okay.
They're bringing in Joe Flacco.
Okay.
I guess he'll start this week. I don't know.
I guess.
Doesn't scream Jets victory when they're playing with a limited playbook.
Yes. I can't understand. The Bengals offense is very high powered. I can't imagine
What
the
does
Jets
Vegas know that we don't?
I don't know. That's why it's so confusing to me.
Who's the favorite? Bengals.
The Bengals.
I'm picking the Bengals to win and to cover.
I will. Let me say this: you should have this information because this is valuable information that I'm just getting now. Breaking news.
This is breaking news.
Breaking news.
Are you really just getting this right now?
I am just getting this right now. However, I don't think it's breaking. The opening line was 3.5 favored for the Bengals. It has now moved to double digits. The Bengals are favored by 10. I wonder what changed.
That's a huge difference. I don't. Maybe weather. Is it a Thursday game?
Maybe the opening line, and maybe some people that are listening that are gamblers on this that listen to this podcast. Tell us if opening line means the beginning of the year. They give a spread on everything in the beginning, and now it's changed due to the spread here. That makes sense.
I feel like no, but I really have no idea.
Neither do I.
I'm picking the Bengals. What's the current spread?
10.
Yeah, they're gonna win. They're gonna definitely cover that.
I agree. The Bengals high-powered offense. My entire fantasy team rides on him.
Joe Flacco is not a good quarterback.
I don't want to talk about this again, but I got a trade offer this morning
from
Buttlicker.
Butker.
Butker.
Buttlicker.
Yeah, he wants to give me another Cincinnati wide receiver. And
have they had their bye yet?
No,
you can't afford this.
Can't. And he's the third option. I had the first two, so I know I don't want it. But yeah, interestingly enough. And the next one, which has got to be the game of the week. I can't imagine it's not. I'll give you the updated spread. Packers 6-1 travel to the 7-0 Cardinals. Keep in mind, if I remember
Thursday.
Is this the Thursday night game?
I believe so.
Okay. If I remember correctly, the Packers lost their first game and haven't lost since.
That's correct.
You
do remember correctly.
The panic thing with Aaron Rodgers seems like it's every year thing for him. Obviously, you found out,
7-0.
and you came out with breaking news last night. We don't have it this morning, but the breaking news last night: Devontae Adams probably not playing.
Possible COVID. He's on
COVID.
the list. That's not a good look for.
But still Aaron Rodgers, and they're not at Lambeau, which I would love.
I don't think he's. I mean, Devontae's been great this year, but he hasn't been like.
As we see in Madden, it changes the game having him on the field.
I understand that, but. Yeah, you're correct. That probably is a huge effect that I don't realize in football. What's the spread?
The current line is the Cardinals are favored by 6 at home.
I like the Cardinals in this. We looked at from week to week to week. We're picking the Packers games, and they're always a low favorite. I'm watching their games. They're winning by 10 against the Bears. I love Aaron Rodgers. I think that they're good. They're on the road in Arizona on a short week. Kyler Murray is a killer. I'm picking the. I'm gonna pick the. What is this? You say 7?
6.
6.
You win by touchdown.
I'm gonna say that the Cardinals win and cover.
Cardinals win and cover.
They win and cover.
Man, this is a tough game. This is why I love this matchup.
Coach Handsome.
Coach Handsome, yeah. Gave out 2 future-made game balls for my taste.
Well, he got one, though. We obviously had the same algorithm.
Yeah,
That's how I know it's Thursday game.
Yeah, it's a bit. Oh, yeah, that's true. Yeah, a bit too many game balls for my taste. It's game ball.
Well, they use a lot of them. They're obviously giving away to fans.
Yes, but you give away a game ball. Whatever. Who do I know? What do I know? But the 6, and they still will throw in here if Adams is truly put on the shelf, the spread could go higher for the Cardinals. Based off of your recommendation, because I know Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams both on your fantasy team, you're highly sensitive to their games.
That's
you're
correct.
watching their games
Watch
if they're available
on TV.
And regardless, even if you're not watching them, you're monitoring their games.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to stick with you. I'm going to say the Cardinals. I say the Cardinals win by a touchdown. This COVID stuff, people don't mess around with this COVID stuff. So I could easily see Devontae Adams not playing this week, especially on a short week. You don't have as quick. You don't have those extra days to get Devontae Adams back into the game.
Yep.
I think the Cardinals win and they cover in a really. It is Thursday. It says in the headline.
That's a fun one to watch.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that Thursday night game, even though I don't believe that I have anyone playing in those games. And my fantasy team, which is pretty much all I care about. So, with that being said, Sean, that ends our picks for today. I have nothing to say other than that. I think we did a tremendous job not getting canceled today.
Understood. Your tiny brains couldn't comprehend what we were saying.
I will decide if I get canceled or not. Oh, well, let's cut this.
Yeah, let's end this immediately.
Okay. Until next time, guys, I'll see you later.
Bye.
Sorry, we're closed.